Do you ever find yourself at a point where there's so many things that you could be doing with your day, your week, your month, or even your life that you don't feel sure of any decision that you make, and then you just end up feeling stuck? I know this has definitely happened to me in the past, and a lot of people ask themselves this question when they're in school, in college, in the first year or even second year of masters, or even after they've already started their careers and they're like 5 years into them. And this question is, what do I want to do? And what usually ends up happening is that if you don't have the answer to this question, you're just gonna find yourself just going with the flow and just doing things that just seem easy at that point of time, doing things that don't mean much to you or that you've just found yourself in. And inevitably, you're gonna be feeling a little less satisfied with how you spend your time and how you're spending your life. This can happen at any point in life. It can happen in school, college, or even in your job. Days, weeks, months, years pass by, and then you look back and you can't really pinpoint exactly what you achieved during that time or like how you spent that time. Time just flows and you don't know how. This entire thing, it's basically a journey. It's not figuring out what you want to do is not a destination. It's a continuous process. And you have to repeat this process again and again because what you want, it changes over time. And in this video, I'm going to talk about what I've done in the past to kind of figure out what I want to do and then be able to continually do the same thing again and again. Because once you figure out what you want to do, it remains true for some time, and then you find yourself in the same spot again when you don't feel the alignment anymore, and then you gotta do it all over again. So in this video, I'm gonna talk to you about that. So there are 3 broad ways that I've kind of identified that I kind of figure out what I want to do. And the first one is throwing spaghetti. You'll get what I mean in a bit. The second one is share, share, share. And the third one is meet people, ask questions. Let's first talk about this thing about throwing spaghetti. One of my favorite sayings of all time is throw spaghetti on the wall and see what sticks. What this meant for me is that since I was a little kid, I just did things. I just did a lot of things. Things that I did just because I was excited to do them. Like growing this mustache, for example. Some of those things stuck, others didn't really stick so much. But the important thing was that I never put pressure on myself, and neither did my parents, to continue to do the things that I just didn't feel like doing. Because I knew that if I actually liked doing something, if I felt aligned with it, I would just feel like doing it by myself without anyone having to force me to do it. For example, when I started playing guitar in middle school at the age of 12, it just kind of stuck. No one had to push me to go to guitar lessons. No one had to push me to practice. I just did it by myself because I liked to. And I actually reached a point where I stopped going for guitar lessons because I thought that I'm not so interested in it anymore. But just 5 or 6 months later, I kind of just picked up the guitar on my own once again without anyone telling me to do it. And I started going back for lessons again, and now 12, 13 years later, I still play the guitar every single day. And that whole guitar thing led to singing, which led to music production, which led to video production and photography, which led to content marketing, content creation, digital marketing, and that's what I'm doing right now. So you see, it's kind of like a flower that just bloomed on its own. I just gave the flower the space and the freedom to grow, and it did in the way that it wanted to. On the other hand, I also signed up for cricket lessons around the same time in middle school, and I always had to force myself to go. And so I quit after 3 months. And then I started football lessons at some point as well. I lasted 2 weeks and then I quit because I just didn't enjoy it. I tried playing basketball with the kids in my neighborhood. It's also something which I didn't enjoy all that much. So then, I just stopped doing it after a while. I realized that team sports is just not my thing. And it just wasn't going anywhere. The important thing is being honest with yourself about whether you're actually enjoying something or whether you're not. Or are you just doing it because of social pressure or whatever? Similarly, after playing games like The Sims, I realized that I actually like interior design. And then after playing games like Flight Simulator, I realized that I really love planes. And then after playing a lot of racing games, I realized that I love driving cars. Even though I don't have a license still at the age of 25. Yeah, I know. So then I discovered that even though music was my thing, art and painting and drawing were really not. I joined art classes and that didn't really stick. Similarly, I love tinkering with computers, setting up processes and structures to make my life easier with the computer, but I tried coding and programming and developing and it just didn't stick. I didn't like it. Things that seemed similar turned out to not be, and that's kind of what taught me what is it within something that I like or not. Over time, I got a clear idea of what are the kinds of things that I like and what are the kinds of things that I don't like doing so much. But This was all just about hobbies. It still didn't answer my question about career and what I should be doing for a living. So I tried doing a freelance music project for like a friend's dad, and I realized that I absolutely hated doing it. I didn't like anyone telling me what to do with my music. But then I tried doing a freelance logo designing project for another friend's mom's business, and I loved doing that. So even though there was pressure from a client and logo designing was also creative, I actually enjoyed doing it. So that's what gave me this idea that yeah, maybe music is not really the career for me. And then in college, I did more freelance video editing work, and I realized that I absolutely loved doing it. That's what got me into content creation. I did a whole bunch of that in college, and then in my final semester, I did an internship in digital marketing at a tech startup where I was making videos, writing emails, writing blogs from a B2B standpoint. And I realized that I really liked doing that at a tech startup. So by this point, I came to this conclusion after all of this spaghetti throwing, experimentation, trial and error and failing that okay, I like creating content, I like doing digital marketing. And then when I came to HEC in my gap year, since I knew that, okay, I really like working digital marketing at a tech startup, when I got this opportunity in Los Angeles to work at a tech startup doing digital and content marketing, I took it. And I spent 6 months in LA doing exactly that, and I absolutely loved it. I felt so aligned, I felt so just in the flow with my work, and it just felt great. And then I did another internship in the second half of my gap year, also in digital marketing, but at a large corporate, at a beauty company. It was my first time working at a large company, and by the end of the experience, I kind of realized that I didn't really vibe with that experience as much as I did with my startup experience. So that's what led me to realize that, okay, I want to work in digital marketing at a tech startup. And once this became clear to me, I just focused all of my efforts on this. I started consistently making YouTube videos, which eventually led into starting a newsletter and a podcast. I started talking to more people in this field, and I just generally started to focus my efforts on this area specifically, which included building projects and building a network to place myself in the best possible way to find a job doing this. That's exactly what I've got right now. I'm working at a tech startup doing growth marketing. So yeah. Ooh, and you know what happens when you become clear and aligned in what you want to do? It becomes easier to say no to things that are not in line with what you want to do. And so that just allows you to focus a lot better. Ooh, it became dark outside. Okay, I have switched on the lights. I think this should be better. Okay, cool. All right, I'm back. So the second thing after throwing spaghetti is to share. Share what you're doing. Don't do things in a vacuum. When I started playing guitar, it just felt natural to try and find other people to play guitar with. When I started producing music, I tried finding other people to collaborate with, and that's what I did. I shared my music online and told everyone about it. I even released a CD of my music at school and tried selling it, and it failed catastrophically. But hey, I still did it. When I started getting into video making, like back in 2013, I would share my videos on Facebook and YouTube and get people's comments on them. And when I got into photography, I would always share all of my photos on Facebook and Instagram. And yeah, so that's what I always love to share my work. Austin Kleon, in his book, Show Your Work, says this. He said that you should share what you love, and then the people that love the same things, you just attract them. They just come to you. This is so true. By sharing my work and sharing my passions, I attracted the people that shared the same interests and the same passions. And that led me to learn more, share more, and grow more. Another aspect of sharing is teaching. That's kind of what I try to do on this channel. I don't want to just talk about what I do. I also want to talk about how I do it. What are my processes? What are my mindsets? What are my thoughts behind the things that I do? This is also why I love to meet other people that do the exact same things that I do, like other YouTubers, photographers, musicians, and so on. We can share with each other what inspires us, what are the techniques that we use, what are the things that we've learned, so we can just grow together. Teaching others, I've realized, is also a great way to reflect on myself and my processes and the things that I've done in the past. And one of the things that teaching others has kind of made me realize is how much I absolutely love to do it. I realize that I get so much motivation and happiness when someone shares with me that, their life was made better because of something that I did or said, and that just blows my mind. It gives me so much joy when I hear that. The last way sharing my goals and projects helps me is that it brings me opportunities. Unless you share your work, no one's gonna know that it's something that you do or something that you even want to do, let alone people knowing that it's something that you're good at. By sharing my music production and my photography in middle school and high school, that's how I got those opportunities to make things for my friends' parents And that's how I got those opportunities in college to make freelance video editing projects and actually earn money from them. And this led me to learning more and more about myself and pushing my own boundaries further, while giving me the confidence and the validation that my work is good enough for someone to actually pay money for it. Once that happens, it kind of changes the way you think about things. So yeah, share your work, share your goals, and you don't know what can happen. The third thing is meet people and ask questions. When you do things and then when you share those things with others, you end up opening yourself to opportunities to meet people that are really cool and interesting. And those people, aside from ones that are at the same stage as you or on the same path as you, they could also be people who've made a career doing the thing that you're doing, or people whose job involves it, or people who have done it in the past. Basically, anyone who's like at a different stage, who's ahead of you in the same path. And that someone is basically like an example of what can happen if you follow and go down this path. When you meet people like this, it's the time to try and really understand who they are, what they do, and if you can see yourself in their shoes at some point down the line, even partially. Do they like what they're doing? Why? What do they do on a day-to-day? What does their work involve? What are the skills that their work requires? What is their mindset like? Also, you want to understand what were these people doing at your age or at your stage. You can trace back their path and see where it aligns with yours or if it doesn't. Of course, every person's journey is different. But by looking at multiple people's journeys, you can get a pretty decent idea of, what are the steps that you might need to take if you want to get to where they are. Or if you even want to get to where they are. And most people are happy to talk about themselves. Everyone loves talking and sharing about themselves. So it's actually really easy to ask someone about their life, their motivations, their career, and basically just about themselves when you meet them. But you can do this even by reading books, watching YouTube videos, stalking people on LinkedIn. That's also something that I do. Basically any way that you can find to learn about someone's career trajectory. And this is what I'm trying to do with my new podcast, Speak Up. We've been interviewing CEOs, heads of marketing, entrepreneurs, basically anyone that we look up to, and people that are ahead of us in our journeys. And we try to understand who they are and how they got there. And we is me and my two friends who run this podcast. So yeah, the link to the podcast is in the description of this video. You can go check it out if that's something that you're interested in. But like I said in the beginning, it's an ongoing process. All of these things that I described to you, things that I did in the past, they're also things that I'm doing today. Because right now, I kind of know what I want to do. But then I don't know if I want to keep doing the same thing 10, 15 years down the line. So, it always keeps changing. And you always need to keep throwing spaghetti on the wall, sharing, meeting new people, opening yourself and your mind up to new ideas. Basically, my goal with all of this is to just feel aligned. It's something which is just so difficult to describe, but it's like when you feel aligned, it's like your personal and your professional goals, everything just feels like it's going in the right direction. And I've realized that it's only when I feel aligned is when I can make the most impact and I can achieve and be the most productive. But the key to being aligned is like kind of knowing what you want to be aligned with, So that's what the entire point of this video is about. Alright, so I hope this video gave you at least some kind of an idea of how to start or how to continue your journey of finding out what it is that you want to do. We're all in different stages of this journey, and what you want to do will change multiple times in your life. So there's no real destination. It's all about reflecting on yourself and then being honest with yourself at a particular point in time and then moving forward. So if I could put it in a different way, it's about calibrating your compass to show you what's the direction you need to head towards. So that's basically, there's no destination. It's just when you have that calibrated compass, that's when you know what you want to do. And maybe once you know what you want to do, after some time, it stops feeling in alignment and then you need to do it again. So that's why I said, all of these things that I said, they just teach you how to calibrate your compass so that you know what direction you're headed in. Alright, so if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Consider hitting that subscribe button because I'll be uploading a lot more content just like this. And thanks a lot for being part of my journey in knowing what I want. See you guys in the next one.